Hello everyone and welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering, with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck techs that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have another Halloween-themed deck with the Gitrog Monster. You know what we're doing here. We're going to try to combo off. We're going to be like discarding a ton of lands and just trying to draw as many cards as possible with the Gitrog Monster. We're running the expected Dredge cards. We have an infinite combo in the deck. Just really fun, crazy Gitrog Monster stuff in the deck that we're going to go over today. So the Gitrog Monster says that he has Death Touch, which cool, like he needs it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to sacrifice him unless you sacrifice a land, so it forces you to get rid of your lands. You can play an additional one on each of your turns, though, and then whenever one or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you draw a card. So, going to be putting stuff into the graveyard from the library. We're going to be having kind of like, what do you call it, like discards that you can decide what gets discarded instead of just forced discard. Current TCG market value here is $212 to $261, a little more expensive, probably because of all the combos and the, you know, everyone's building Gitrog Monster kind of the same way. And then land count, we didn't go too crazy. We're running 38, 22 of those being basics between swamps and forests, and 16 of those being non-basics. So, getting into it today, here are our cards that have Dredge on them. So, if you're not familiar with Dredge, it says that if you would draw a card, you can mill that many cards, whatever the Dredge cost is, instead. And then if you do, you get to bring the card that has Dredge on it back from your graveyard to your hand. So, with the ability to decide what gets discarded, you're going to be able to then discard the Dredge cards right away and kind of keep this engine going of putting lands into your graveyard and drawing a bunch of cards with Gitrog Monster. But he has a specific combo that I think a lot of people are familiar with Dakmor Salvage. So this is one that is on a land and has Dredge 2. So instead of drawing, you would bring Dakmor Salvage back, and then you have to mill 2 cards. And this goes infinite with Gitrog Monster. So basically, at your end step trigger, you would, at your cleanup step rather, if you have to be over 7 cards, you'd be discarding the Dakmor Salvage, which then would trigger Gitrog Monster drawing you a card, which then you would replace with Dakmor Salvage to put it back into your hand, and then you're still in cleanup, so you have to keep doing this repeatedly, so you basically get to decide when you want to stop dredging based on however many, kind of cards are going to the graveyard from the mill. So you're drawing off of the Gitrog Monster milling the cards from the graveyard. I'm pretty sure how it works is on the stack, the Dakmor Salvage, while you're doing the ability to bring it back to your hand. If you mill more lands, you're drawing there. And then additional Dredge cards that have, you know, okay abilities, but they're here for the Dredge. So Dark Blast can get rid of a little baby creature, but it has Dredge 3, Stinkweed, Imp, lets you destroy a creature off of combat damage, has Dredge 5, kind of expensive. Life from the Loam, pretty solid, return up to 3 land cards from your graveyard to your hand, but it has Dredge 3. And then Golgari Thug has Dredge 4. When it dies, you get to put a creature from your graveyard on top of your library. So, we keep talking about this, but here are the cards that kind of have activated abilities by discarding a card. So you can choose whether that's going to be a land or one of those Dredge cards from earlier. And then there's, you know, a variety of abilities on here that aren't too important, but there is additional value off of discarding. So, Wild Mongrel off of the discard is getting a boost and becomes the color of your choice, which is like, okay, that's cool, I guess. Una's Prowler you can discard, and it's getting -2 power for the turn, and anybody can do that. We're not going to be attacking, it's here for the discard. Volrath's Dungeon, any player may pay 5 life during his or her turn to destroy it, but it has to be during their turn. So if it gets to your turn, you can kind of keep doing this. You choose a discard a card. Target player chooses a card in their hand. They put that on top of their library. You can only do this as a sorcery. So you can just keep this engine going by chucking lands and then emptying your opponent's hands and putting all of their cards on their library. So gross. Olivia's Dragoon, you can discard to give a creature flying. Trespasser Ilvek, you could discard to give him Shadow. Oblivion Crown has to be on a creature, but you could discard a card to give that creature +1 till end of turn. So this on Gitrog Monster with the Death Touch is going to be a big scary dude coming at you. Scourge Familiar is getting you black mana off a discard. Putrid Imp is giving it flying for the turn. And then Ayua's Influence is giving you bears off of discarding a land card specifically. And then here's our payoffs with the lands, kind of either coming onto the battlefield or being in the graveyard. So Spawn of Turg. Power is equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard. Really, really strong. And then you could sack a land for life. Zurin Orb also lets you sack lands for life. And again, these would all be triggering Gitrog Monster to get you draw. Underrealm Lich says that if you draw a card, you can instead look at the top 3 cards. You get to choose one and put the rest in your graveyard. Bone Miser gives you a variety of benefits depending on what you discard. So creature cards get you zombies, land cards get you mana, non-creature, non-land cards get you draw. And then the 2 retreat enchantments here that have landfall triggers. So Retreat to Hagra says that you can give a creature +1 in Death Touch or drain your opponents. Retreat to Khazan Dûn says counters on creatures or you gain 2 life. And then more good stuff in the deck. Here is that infinite combo we were talking about with Witherbloom Apprentice and Chain of Smog. So Witherbloom Apprentice has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then with Chain of Smog, this goes infinite. So Chain of Smog says target player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. That player may copy the spell and they may choose new targets for the copy. So you just keep targeting yourself. Eventually your hand's going to be empty because you're going to be discarding a ton. Even with Gitrog Monster, like the engine's not going to keep replenishing your hand. But that doesn't matter because you don't need to do the discard. Chain of Smog would go infinite and then it would infinitely drain the opponents out and gain you infinite life with Witherbloom Apprentice out. So there is our infinite combo. Super, super strong combo in Golgari. Toxic Deluge and Terror Tide let you do -X on creatures. Sylvan Safekeeper can sack a land to protect Gitrog Monster. Reign of Filth lets you sack your lands to get black mana until end of turn. That is risky, but it is here. Unmarked Grave lets you search for a non-legendary card, put it in your graveyard and shuffle. So at a minimum, this is a land, and at a maximum, it's a dredge card. Pitiless Carnage, you can sack any number of permanents you control and draw that many cards. Those could be your lands again. Traverse the Ulvenwall lets you search for a basic land, put it in your hand, or it lets you search for a creature, land card, and put it in your hand. So this is the one that kind of lets you go get that Dakbar salvage. And then Nature's Claim is targeted removal for artifacts and enchantments. More good stuff in the deck, a lot of removal. Maelstrom Pulse blows up a non-land permanent and everyone else that shares a name, so all the Soul Rings can go away for 3 mana. Exsanguinate drains everybody and you gain that much. Grizzly Salvage lets you reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You can put a creature or land from among them in your hand, the rest in your graveyard, so that can be, a lot of Gitrog triggers there. Culling Ritual lets you blow up 2 or less permanents and you get that much mana. Drown in Filth lets you choose a creature. You put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard, and then that creature gets -1 for each land card in your graveyard. Oh, so good. Assassin's Trophy blows up a permanent, and so does Beast Within. And then lots of recursion in the deck, so we're going to be, our strategy is literally to put our lands into the graveyard, whether they're on the field or from our library, so we want ways of bringing those back to keep this engine going. So we're running World Shaper, which when it dies brings all the lands back. Splendid Reclamation brings all the lands back. Aftermath Analyst, you can sack it to bring all the lands back. Gaia's Blessing says that target player shuffles up to 3 cards from their graveyard into the library, you draw, and then when it's put into the graveyard from the library, you shuffle your graveyard into your library. So kind of a way to make sure that your graveyard goes back in to not have you deck out. 6 gives all of your non-land permanents retrace in your graveyard, and he also has mill built in on him for attacks. Grapple with the Past lets you mill 3 and then return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. And then here are the 4 cards that allow you to play lands from your graveyard. So Ramunak Excavator, Perennial Behemoth, Conduit of Worlds, and Crucible of Worlds all let you play lands from your graveyard. So it's not a big deal if they're going into the graveyard because you can replay them with these 4. And then here's our mana ramp in the deck. So we're running a Sylvan Scrying to go search for any land card and put it in our hand. Again, it's probably the Dakmar Salvage. Oracle Moldaya is giving us additional lands each turn. Skull Prophet's letting you tap for black or green, but also lets you mill. Nylea's Intervention lets you go search for any amount of lands where the search is equal to X. Rites of Flourishing gives you an additional land. Lotus Cobra gives you mana off a landfall. Exploration gives you an additional land. Azusa gives you an additional 2 lands. And then Druid of the Elysian Grove gives you an additional land, but it also is mana correction for you. And then Dark Ritual can have you get Gitrog Monster out even earlier. And then a little more mana in the deck, so ways of searching for specific lands here. We got the Soul Rain for our rock, but then Elvish Reclaimer, Crop Rotation, and Expedition Map all let you go and find a specific land card, not just a basic, so it can be pretty consistent to get you that Dredge land and have this whole strategy that we discussed work consistently. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.